Now, returning you to the Children of Primus.
I just want to note something.
I thought we were doing Huffer.
Yeah. I just want to note something right at the top of the show.
Yes.
In the chat, we were like, "What are some other G1 characters we can talk about?" I said Hauler as a joke. Like I was not being serious, and Spin was just like, "No, let's do Hauler." So
yeah, you and your big mouth. Now we're stuck for an hour talking about a character that doesn't exist. Thanks, Anthony.
Well, the interesting thing about Transformers is everybody exists a little bit, and probably more than you think, because it's got a long history, right? I'm just pulling up his wiki entry here. Yeah, there we go. Everybody gets to exist. There's always some comic book or something where some guy's hanging around in the background and maybe gets one line or two, and it's a guy that came out in Europe in 1993.
Infinite universes.
Yeah,
This is true.
I remember a few shows ago showing a panel from a comic there with the weird, like, mouth plateless, helmetless Soundwave, and Farak was in the background, and people were like, "Why is Farak there?" And I'm like, "Why is he not there? Everybody has to exist in some context, you know."
In some context. And James Coleman in the comments, hey James, how's it going? Says, hey guys, got Road Hauler at Walmart at a clearance price of $40.
Yeah.
40.
You sure that's a clearance price?
Yeah, I got mine from Ross or TJ Maxx, one of those places.
Yeah, for 12.
Yeah.
Well, but you know what? $12 converted to Canadian is about $69.33. So $40 is a discount.
Yeah. I'll say one thing. There are exactly 2 Hauler toys officially. I understand there's quite a few third parties because he's an easy repaint.
Mm-hmm.
You have the one that came out in like the early 2000s that was a repaint of G1 Grapple because, you know, they were reissuing them. Then you have the legacy one that everybody has, including me, with the screaming face. And that's it.
That's it.
They could have done a Masterpiece by now because there was a Masterpiece Grapple. They just haven't bothered.
So as I'm setting up my screen after that weird power failure that occurred during the Teletran 1 segment, I'm going to bring up a Road Hauler onto the screen. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to throw this over to Toy Warp. What are your thoughts of Hauler?
Hauler does not exist. And I have reason behind it.
What is your theory?
Mainly because the Autobots that were chosen for the mission to, go find more, find another energy source in G1. We know Hauler from Cliffjumper saying Hauler haul him up when Hound crashed after Laserbeak chased him. All the Autobots probably didn't know each other. Cliffjumper's never been the brightest of the Autobots, and Cliffjumper probably got Grapple's name wrong. Just saying.
All right.
Not everybody probably didn't know everybody.
Now, over to you, Mr. Magnus. Your thoughts of Hauler.
I always wondered who he was. Why didn't we get a toy of him? Everybody else in the cartoon, we got a toy of. But we never got to see this green guy. And then when we finally get a Grapple, it's like, but wasn't his name Hauler before? So this is, this is Grapple's idiot twin brother, or this is Grapple's alter ego. Grapple actually has a split personality, and he has the ability to change colors.
That last part has some basis.
And become this one.
Are you trying to get him transformed properly?
Yeah.
There you go.
And that's why he's screaming, is because he's at odds with himself.
You know, you could also read that face as shocked. He's going,
I'm green.
yeah. I managed to get Earthrise Grapple out here and put him into his alternate mode, so I have an animation accurate Hauler.
There you go. No, set him back. What are your thoughts of Hauler? No.
So, come on, damn it. Come on, Hauler.
You're having a lot of Ultra Magnus moments there.
I just can't right now. I was literally looking up the pictures. So these aren't the pictures I found last week, but I was looking at his TF Wixie page, and I forgot about how in that episode it talks about him and the other Constructicons being involved with the building of Crystal City.
Hold up, Sedum, hold up. On the stream, I'm just looking at Magnus. We need to see.
Yeah, still on me.
Oh. Entertain us, damn it. Hi, he is green, so you'd be like, hello, my baby. Hello, my
Hello, my ragtime gal.
Yeah.
Ow, that hurt.
Careful, Magnus. No sudden movements.
Yeah, don't
He's injuring
injure
himself
your
for his
shoulder
art.
even more.
Let's actually get this photo.
While we look at Magnus's beautiful face, just for a note, I've got some retroactive information from last week.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh.
What you got?
So I mentioned last week's topic being jazz. Orlati wanted to own the Porsche 935, and I told him, it was the last time I had looked, it was the most expensive of the Transformer cars. I was correct. I looked it up, revisited the information. There were only about 40 of those cars produced from the factory because they were a race car only, so only race teams could order them. They weren't available to the public. They currently are selling between $4.5 and $5.5 million.
Holy
Currently.
And a kidney.
Maybe
y'all
you
see
can
that
get him
thing
on an
where,
installment plan.
where Barricade from the Bay movie sold? He was a 4,000. He only had 4,000 miles on him. Mustang Saleen. I think $71,000 because he still had the Barricade paint job on him.
Wow.
It's not, you know what? It's not too off of the Saleen prices from that era nowadays. Like what the Saleen cars are going for.
The Saleens are that high, honestly?
Yeah. You're going to be paying 50 to 60, for a Saleen from that era with real low miles like that. Because when you get something with low miles like that, museums buy them up, and the museums can afford more than usually your private buyers. So, that's not. I actually expected it to go for more, but
Only that many millions of dollars.
Only
71,000, which that'd be about $1 million in
Canadian.
They
and loonies and
probably
toonies.
would be. Yep.
And a kidney.
Let me pay, and by the installments, they mean I'll just keep bringing them bags of loonies.
Is that still a thing? Do y'all still have the Looney and Toonies? The
Oh
coins?
yeah.
Oh yeah, we still got them.
Yeah.
We went to Canada for our honeymoon when me and my kids' mother got married, and yeah, it blew me away that was the $1 and $2 coins.
Yeah. We got rid of the penny, but we still keep the larger increments.
At one point in time, we did have dollar bills for the $1 and the $2, and then we decided to turn them into coins.
Yeah.
All right, so we interrupted you. See him holding his
fine.
phone up there.
That is.
This is one of the 2 fan arts I found last week after the show.
Transformers Prime version.
And then one based off the Energon Superlink design.
Nice.
But yeah, when you were starting to ask me, like I was looking up, I pulled up his TF Wiki and I saw, oh, Crystal City. So not only is there a Crystal City in Transformers, and I know TF Johnny, he would know this area in Nova, Northern Virginia. You have a Crystal City in Northern Virginia.
Really?
So I
interesting.
just imagine, like, if I go around, I'll see Hauler like walking down the street at some time. I mean, like, literally, the comic shop I go to that's a walking distance, they have a lawyer named Slicer, like the Transformers character. So I expect that he's actually a pretender shell for G1 Slicer from the Action Maxers.
They actually have a lawyer whose human meatbag name is Slicer.
Yep.
That's...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I either have to grow up to be a lawyer or a serial killer.
Lawyer for like a serial killer that was a slasher. Yeah. That would be like on the nose. It's like, oh, that's unfortunate.
So for myself, what I found out, and I mean, for a Hauler being a character that really does have limited information, so I also said we can kind of also make up whatever we want about him. But of the factual information, he did appear in the G1 episode for a few seconds. 19 years later, he was released as a toy using the grapple mold. And then another 12 years after that, then in 2015, he ends up in a comic. So almost 30 something years before Hauler actually gets any recognition or acknowledgement within the franchise after just showing up briefly in like 1984.
Yeah. I like the people had to translate it because the original Hauler toy there, the green one on the lower right, was a Japanese release, but he had a long bio note that tried to explain away why he's green and why he wasn't on the show after that first episode. I'm just going to find it here and read it out if I can. Yeah, here it is. Millions of years ago, Hauler was a member of the construction team for the Cybertronian metropolis of Crystal City. After losing his teammates in an attack by Megatron, he became an Autobot. Since awakening on Earth with Commander Optimus Prime and the others, he has taken full time to his original purpose of securing energy resources, for which he now travels throughout the world. A highly capricious self-expressionist, he frequently changes or restores his coloration and optional equipment. So they're like, he's green because he used to be with the Constructicons, he was yellow in the episode because he likes to change his color scheme, and he didn't appear after the first episode because he's traveling the world looking for energy. We just patched all of the continuity with the tech specs.
Now, go right back to the part where, the initial part where you read about Megatron. Well, what did it say there about him?
After losing his teammates in an attack by Megatron, he became an Autobot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Robo Smasher.
The Robo Smasher. Which
so
I guess
implies he wasn't around.
Right, which I'm going to throw this to the Toy Warp because I know on your channel you're working on the origins of the Transformers. I always play around with this in a sense of saying that Megatron and the Constructicons are an infinite loop where the Constructicons created Megatron, but then Megatron created the Constructicons, who then created Megatron to then create the Constructicons. Because as you can see in this picture here, there's 8 Constructicons, and someone made a joke that out of the 2 extras, Hauler may have been one of them. Because we know 6 of them, but who are these other 2 Constructicons?
I believe that was eventually, not within those tech specs, but other media did clarify that was the case. He was supposed to be one of those.
True. Charlie C. Hey, Charlie, been a while.
Charlie.
The 8 Constructicons. This is actually from an episode of the 5 Faces of Darkness. When Rodimus goes back in the Matrix and they're talking the history of him finding out the Quintessons created the Transformers. But they also showed a scene of where Megatron comes from. In the scene, they show 8 Constructicons, but we also know season 3 and Fear of, and 5 Faces of Darkness tend to have some crazy animation errors that we're still talking about to this day.
Yeah. I mentioned this many shows ago, but fairly recently we got a look at the scripts for that episode, which sort of answered a question while raising another, which is that the scripted version of this scene did not specifically call for the Constructicons to be building him, just a group of generic robots. So this was entirely the creation of the animation team turning them into the Constructicons.
Wow.
Which, obviously the author is not the final arbiter of the work, but as written on the page, it wasn't supposed to be those guys. And then when it was storyboarded and animated, it became those guys.
Mm-hmm. Now, as we go back to Hauler, again, him only showing up for the one scene out of the entire original run, I'll throw this back over to Toy Work. What other views do you have about Hauler?
They just got his name wrong. It's Grapple. Telling you.
He's
Well,
Green Grapple. Kind of like
He's
how
not- he's-
Luigi's Green Mario.
The reissue made him green. It wasn't. He's obviously not green there, unless you're colorblind. Which, being an artist, I wouldn't imagine you are. So
I'm being
I know those glasses are thick, but give me a break.
The actual reasoning was literally, he looks the same as Grapple. We can't re-release the same figure. Let's turn him green and come up with a reason why. Oh,
I've
Mr.
got
Magnus, you're saying something. There you go. Yeah.
I've got it. So this is Constructicon Grapple. Back at Crystal City, 10 million years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
When Megatron destroyed the rest of them, when Megatron took them and turned them evil, he got a paint job and changed his name to Grapple.
There you go.
He hadn't picked his new name yet. Like, I don't...
This is his Cybertron mode. Grapple's his Earthrise mode.
It is generally believed that what happened was that they intended to release Grapple in the first year, change their minds, but it made its way into the cartoon. There was something about how... Yeah, I have the wiki page open. One theory is that the original 1984 Autobot cars were shipped to stores in cases of 12, but only 11 figures were released in the assortment, with an extra Mirage filling the empty slot. This suggests that Hauler might have been intended to be the 12th figure in the case.
Wow.
But then they held him back a year and did him as Grapple in 85. Too late to make it into the animation. We've seen enough production material to know the animation was constantly revising things because plans were changing, because of lead times.
I ran out of blue ink, so let's just put an extra Skywarp in this color.
Yeah.
In this panel.
And Charlie C says the Constructicons did the same thing as the aerial bots, where they went back in time. It is, to Mr. Magnus saying, in terms of them running out of colors, again, that's a Hollywood script type of idea that they played with the Dukes of Hazzard with the General Lee. Because I think essentially it was just whatever colors they really had in the studio, they just combined it and created this interesting orange for the General Lee. So going back years later, when people want to recreate the actual color, they can't, because there was no actual blueprint behind let's use this specific orange. It's just combine a bunch of orange, throw it on the car, and here we got the General Lee.
Yeah, they mixed two different kinds of orange that were an off-brand, so it was cheap paint to start with. And then they did it because the paint was so inexpensive, and you got to remember the studio went through, I think it was 237 generals,
right,
over the course of the 7 seasons the show was on. But they do have that actual color now.
Okay.
However, it's probably around $4,000 or $5,000 a gallon.
Of course.
Yeah. There's a lengthy thing I can show and read eventually about Hauler that's really funny and really sort of culturally important, which is so a few years ago, one of the Hasbro Hall of Fame votes was like, pick your favorite 1984 character. And somebody goofed and put Hauler on that list along with like the G1 guys. So there was like a groundswell of people in the fandom that were like, okay, we have to get Hauler picked as the main one. And
Nice.
It didn't win, but the campaign was really funny. And the Transformers Wiki had this joking Tumblr post that they made talking about all the things Hauler has done. I'm gonna try to share not share video, share screen. Maybe I can pop it up here. There's some really funny pictures.
That's weird that the internet didn't get that done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't get that voted in, because Vody McVoteface.
Yeah, that's Jess showing me the same support as usual. My wife, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. Welcome to Teletran 2. That was a Jess
Yeah.
moment right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So once this gets popped up, I can show it off, but once we get there. But yeah, so here we go. I'll see if I can blow this up and read it a little bit. Once in a lifetime, there is a hero who defines a generation, who changes the way we think, a hero who transforms the way we look at our world. And that hero is Hauler. This year, we at the Transformers Wiki stand with this brave Autobot as he vies for a long overdue spot in the Hall of Fame. An architect turned refugee turned hero whose exploits are the stuff of legends. A lowly builder who helped to design the Crystal City, the most beautiful metropolis in Cybertronian history, who escaped the horrific reprogramming that befell his fellow Constructicons. Hauler found himself an Autobot, bravely aiding his fellow comrades, whether on Cybertron or Earth, nobly defending sentient life across the galaxy, with everything he had. There's that shot. Of course, people best remember Hauler for one of his more iconic moments, that time when he helped lift Hound out of a ravine, single-handedly turning the course of the entire Autobot-Decepticon war. But his involvement doesn't end there. See? Everybody knows that Optimus Prime laid down his very spark to defend Megatron, but what people don't know is that Hauler was responsible for lifting the rubble, clearing the road for Prime to successfully retake Autobot City. The ending of Transformers Prime. When Optimus Prime threw himself into the well of Allsparks in order to reignite a ruined Cybertron, who do you think was responsible for lifting wreckage away from the entrance so the Autobot leader could sacrifice himself? It's up there. And how did the Predacon clone of Dinobot really recover his memories during the climactic battle on the bridge of the Nemesis? The truth comes out for the first time. There in the corner.
Oh,
and
gosh.
who was there for Rung in his last moments? That's a spoiler. So this year, vote with your heart. Vote for the bot who's always been in the shadows. The unknown hero that we don't need, but who's the one we deserve. This year, when you cast your vote for the Transformers Hall of Fame, vote Hauler. # Hall of Fame. He did not win.
As brought to you by Fear of Courage from Children of Primus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I'll need to double check this, but I'm 90% sure that my friend Philippe, who we met at TFCon, I think he wrote that.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Because he was part of the TF Wiki social team. I'm like 90% sure.
Cool. Charlie C says no toy where there is only one General Lee.
Yeah. Yes, because it's indestructible.
Exactly. And Andrew says, I agree he is. But we're not going to talk
Members
about
of
any...
my wedding party ganging up on me.
There you go. We're not going to talk about any Crown Vics being converted to General Lees. So, Mr. O, what is your thoughts of Hauler?
Hauler, come on. He's like the #1 Transformer out there.
Why? Why is he the number one?
Even what's it called? Scott Steiner stole his line, his intro line. All the freaks that are out there. I'm your big fat booty hookup, Hauler. This is dirty. Come on, like this guy is like the original Constructicon. He was there making Megatron at Crystal City. Did you know that?
Yeah, if you'd have been here on time, you'd have heard it.
Well, there you go. I'm just kind of repeating it then. So like I'm not gonna repeat. I'm sure everybody knew. Um, I'm sure I basically say the same thing to everybody else, but the only thing that I can say is that it's a shame that he went through different colors. It's a shame that he got kicked out of the Constructicons because he saved Cliff Jumper there, and that's it. It's a shame that he's been in the background, saving people's lives, and he hasn't got a credit for it. But I have to
He's a
respect
very
that.
humble guy.
Very humble.
Do you think that the color of the Transformer is what everybody remembers? Like in the Transformers universe, does Megatron remember Hauler is green, and that's why he had to change his color to orange and become Grapple, so that he wouldn't know that it's him?
Yeah.
I'm gonna add that in. That's why he had to change the color, because with the body styles being similar, it comes down to the color. Otherwise, Starscream, Skywarp, Thundercracker would all be the same, except for their color and the sound of their voice. And
yeah,
that's why
all you have to do to go into witness protection is change your color scheme. So he's like, I'm not Hauler.
That's right. I'm not Hauler.
Well, but
I'm from the same continent.
But here's a problem. Here's a problem. If Inferno shows up on the scene and like Megatron just shoots at him, would it be like, oh, I thought you were someone else? You look like an old nemesis of mine.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So it has to be the color. That's why this is the alter ego. This is when he was with the Constructicons, he was green.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. When Megatron got the other 6, he went into hiding, painted himself, and took on the name Grapple.
Well, speaking of him being in hiding,
and he called his cousin Inferno and said, "Hey, can I join you guys at Iacon?"
But hold on here. You gotta remember something. In TF Wiki, I believe, when the Ark obviously crashed into Earth, and when he was, many years later, when he was reactivated, apparently he went back to factory reset, and he became the person that was going out there to search for Energon. So basically, like I was saying before, he's the unsung hero of keeping everybody alive in the background by providing energy or energon cubes. Right?
I don't remember what I know. I noticed you got the truck with the boom on it there, up on the thing. But both Grapple and Inferno are an actual Japanese truck. I don't remember what the heck they were, but they do exist, and pictures of them do exist. So they're out there.
This is correct.
Yeah, they were saying that you're doing the vehicle, you're looking at all the cars.
Oh, your mic's cutting out.
Mr. O.
Oh, is that better?
There you go.
Yeah,
okay, sorry about that. They were saying that when they were doing the Autobots lineup of vehicles, there were actually one that was missing, and apparently that was supposed to be for Hauler, I believe.
Yep.
But they replaced that with skids. Is that correct?
Yeah. So initially it was 2 Mirages. They just they shipped doubles of him, and then they changed it to skids a little later in the year. Incidentally, this is thought to be why Skids has such a small role in the cartoon, because when they properly changed the 1985 guys, they were like, well, he stopped shipping, so you don't need to promote him. Yeah, so this is Hauler's most recent fictional appearance, because I said everybody gets to appear somewhere, in Wreckers, Treads, and Circuits, which is about a big race on the planet Velocitron that's like politically important, and there's a behind-the-scenes attempt to sabotage it. So like, gotta bring the Wreckers in, they're gonna go undercover as participants in the race and solve this. It's a good story. And Hauler's randomly one of the participants, and in the middle panel there he says, "Hey," as Thunderclash jumps on him, because they're doing this cool stunt where they're jumping in between the cars, and I think that's the only line he has in the whole comic. Like
No.
that's not his only appearance. You go on his wiki page, and he has appeared a lot like this over the years. Never in a major role, always as like a background character, and often not without any dialogue.
Well, Sedum, what say you in terms of other knowledge that you know of Hauler, or that will make up of him, and we'll also throw in that in some iterations he's called Hauler, and then also Load Hauler and Road Hauler.
I mean, I can answer that, but I'll let Sedum talk.
Mm-hmm.
Only other thing I was thinking of was earlier how is it both the Constructicons and what was it, the aerial bots that kind of have that different who was it, Charlie that said something about them being similar with time travel shenanigans or possible different two timelines or histories. And it made me think of how, like, if you ever played the Super Nintendo game Chrono Trigger, you probably would have like the original timeline for everything, and then there's a timeline where like the heroes cause a lot of the stuff to happen, and it replaces the original timeline. I wonder if, like, I could see someone doing something like that with the fiction, be like, hey, how about we do something with these multiple histories of the similar events, like the founding of creation of Megatron and whatnot. And then even like if you look at like the Bible, you have like two accounts of the Genesis and the creation of Adam and Eve. So I mean, it's something that happens in a lot of stuff.
Are you saying that the multiple accounts of the same events in the Bible, like the four Gospels, are the result of time travel changing the timeline?
Well, like, no, I know, like, if you read,
Oh, yes, I am on board.
Yeah.
Next week,
Genesis,
Children of Primus.
there's, like, two different accounts of,
We're going to talk about religion.
Adam and
That's
Eve were
going to go
created.
well.
Yeah, careful.
And then you sort of get, like, Lilith is kind of like fan fiction created to justify the two different stories in it. And that just made me think of that.
The Children of Primus does not promote the rewrite of the original Bible, which was a rewrite of another original Bible, which was a rewrite of another Bible. But does anyone know what the actual Bible was?
Yeah.
And the Lord saith, subscribe to the Children of Primus.
Shiva Koba says, back from Super Mega Costco run. Welcome, Shiva.
Yeah. To answer the question about the name, it literally was just copyright. Hauler is a hard word to copyright, so in Japan they stuck Road Hauler in front of it. Give an extra syllable, that's easier. Sometimes it got translated as Load Hauler because L and R are the same letter in Japanese, so...
Interesting.
Yeah, but like the official, like the Velocitron one calls him Road Hauler, so that's the official translation. Which, by the way, I keep holding him up. Great figure. And they fixed a problem that Grapple had when they released him, which was that he's got these pegs behind him.
Pegs.
Yeah, right here that plug into his legs in alternate mode. The pegs on Grapple were like too long, so they would break if you transformed them too many times. So you had to take sandpaper to them, which I did. For a long time, if anybody on social media was like, I just got Earthrise Grapple, there'd be like 12 posts being like, sand down the pegs, sand down the pegs. But yeah, when they repainted them, they fixed them and they shortened them, so that was great. But yeah, it was already a great figure, and now he has a screaming face, which initially I wasn't down with, but he makes for a lot of really funny pictures, so I can't complain too much.
This is true.
Yeah, there's a upgrade kit that kind of gives him a cup-like cigar that you can fit into his mouth. That I had seen.
Let me find my review of him, because I took some funny photos back then.
I'm going to throw this to Shiba Kobe, your thoughts of Hauler, the Autobot who just mysteriously disappeared and then decades later had some storylines behind him. Mr. O, what are also your thoughts on Hauler?
There's not a lot of fan art of him. That's what I'm trying to find, something cool. I found the one that Sedum showed earlier.
Yeah, there was a fair amount of it, like, on social media during the campaign to get him in the Hall of Fame, but that was, like, mostly just, like, people on Twitter drawing things.
Charlie C is asking, so a long peg is bad?
Yeah, in this case it was.
Thank God.
Okay, I found it.
In fact, there's some fan art on my review because I posted some that somebody had put on Twitter.
Under my Cybertronian tobacco.
Nice.
Cancer's good.
We at Children of Primus do not condone the use of tobacco.
Unless your name is Hound from the Michael Bay movies.
Yeah,
Or
there's a
your
little
cup.
art. Hall for one and one for Hall is part of the campaign. Let me find some of the photos I took, because I had fun with his screaming face. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh yeah, with the squad of people who were just off camera and doing all the important stuff. Skids and hubcap. Screaming face. Look how scandalized he is. Where's the one? I had one of him like he's about to drink that Energon cube with his mouth open. They took my hands.
Why?
Yeah. Where's the one with the big sandwich? I was proud of that one because I have a bot that changes into a big sandwich. There he is getting a donut. Did I not take that photo? I remember taking a photo where he was trying to eat a big sandwich.
Oh dear.
All I can think of, you were almost a Jill sandwich from the first Resident Evil.
Oh yeah, maybe I'm just thinking of this one.
Which you can find. You can find the full review of Hauler on childrenofprimus.com.
Yeah, like I said, fun figure just on its own merits. It's worth getting if you can still snag one. He wasn't hard to find because they shipped him with Override from Cybertron, and everybody wanted that figure. So Hauler was the one that kind of shelf warmed, so he wasn't too hard to pick up. But even so, as a Walmart exclusive, he was a little bit uncommon. Just leaving his shocked face up there.
There you go.
I mean, going back to Magnus's whole idea of him having a split personality, you could, excuse me, you could probably go back to when the Robo Smasher converted the rest of the Constructicons, and the Robo Smasher started to do it to Hauler, and Hauler got away in time, but not before it messed up his mind.
So he's just a little bit deranged.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
He just needed an extra personality to play tic-tac-toe with.
Oh, he's screaming because they shortened his peg.
If they didn't, it would have broken off, and that would have been even worse.
I don't even know how to respond to that one.
I'm like,
Here we
think
are
about
talking
it.
about pegs. Here we are talking about pegs. Now she wants support for the library.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important. Support your local library.
Support your local library in any country, in any city. That is something that should be said often, especially to the younger generation.
Literacy prevents stupidity.
This is true, but
we actually have a Dungeons and Dragons group, a young group of kids that meet at the library in Owensboro.
Nice.
Because the library in Owensboro has all of the D&D books.
Nice. Well, that's very cool.
That's excellent.
Yeah, and they can check them out and run their campaigns and then turn them back in.
That's
cool.
a very good use of the space. Yeah. To be clear, my wife has an interest in this because she works in a library, so she very much wants to promote it. But that's actually a solid idea for her branch.
Now imagine a Transformers meet and greet in a library.
Yeah.
We also have a Magic the Gathering there, and that's where a bunch of guys like me that have multiple extra boxes of cards, we just take them and donate them to the library for the kids to come in there, and they can build their own decks and take them with them.
Nice.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But it gets them into the library, and our library does have there was a set of novels in the early years of Magic, everything that told the stories of the planeswalkers and stuff, and now it's all just digital. It's only online. There's no hard copies, but they have the original books there.
Okay. No, that's
nice.
that's very cool.
With everything going digital, libraries are going to start going the way of the dodo. But
well, they have digital like checkouts of things are the thing too, so those exist. Like there's an app called Libby where you can
books.
Yeah.
I'm
saying like they were able to adapt. Yeah, I personally am very bad at reading like digital books. For some reason, my attention span just doesn't last. So like, if I'm gonna like read something substantial, I need a hard copy.
Yes.
Well, you got to think, especially if you're reading it on like a phone or laptop or tablet.
Yeah.
Anything that's just not like a dedicated ebook reader, it's so easy to just be like, oh, you get sidetracked, and you look away, you're like, oh, let me pull up this thing on the other tab.
That's true.
Yep.
Because even if you're doing something like when I would read like Transformer comics, like that the tail end of IDWs, like 2.0, and like I would be like, oh, who's this character? Look them up, and then I would find myself, sometimes I might still be reading TF Wixie, but it wouldn't be the character in the comic that I originally jumped over there for a second to look up, and then I'll be like, oh crap, I got sidetracked.
You fell down a wiki hole, basically.
Yep.
And it's like it's the same logic of why you don't work like on your artwork in your room with your gaming, your video games and your Transformers and toys. And I do not do this myself. Ever, never, ever.
Well, I mean, it's the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Fear.
Like they were saying, later day IDW was all about the cameos, so you always got to look up who the heck this person is that just showed up.
Well, I was going to tie into an earlier point. I mean, it's almost the same as building like your computer office or gaming in your bedroom, or having an office in your bedroom where you're supposed to kind of have the two separated. So, when it's time to like go to bed, take a nap or rest, your body just kind of disconnects from whatever the work is. But kind of the same as reading a comic book on a phone, as opposed to reading the physical comic book. At least when you're reading the physical comic book, put the phone aside, ignore it and just focus on the book. As opposed to you're reading it on the phone, alerts come in, all sorts of distractions come in. So it's not the same as reading a physical book.
I will say, like, the nice thing about, especially if you go the pirate site route,
Shush.
Read all comics. No, not a sponsor. But you can read like a lot of stuff you might never ever be able to read otherwise.
This is true.
It's just impossible to find the back issues, or they've been out of print so long, or were never even collected into trades in the first place.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff I've read that way.
Mm-hmm.
Or just it allows you also. I mean, because a lot of people, you're gonna have that phone. So I think. And if I do find like a writer or artist I have found like via reading via this, if I do see that, oh, I recognize them from something older that I read online, and I see they're doing something at present, then normally will pick it up. Kind of the same way with like, getting into music via like YouTube, Spotify, Rhapsody, Live Wire, and all that type of stuff. It's like, I mean, if I can find like a means to get the music, but there's also like a lot of Japanese music I would have never got into, like video game music, soundtracks and whatnot, if it wasn't for the internet.
And that is true, because I mean, some will say, well, you're supposed to get your music from the legitimate sources and stuff, but I mean, you look at YouTube, and especially Transformers wise, I would say in the recent months, I've been coming across a lot of channels where they've remixed the original theme songs, added their own lyrics, and extended them, and actually they're quite like very cool compared to like even the original themes that we grew up with for the last however many decades.
Good old Tony Bacala.
Oh gosh!
Wow!
Apparently, a car in my neighborhood is upside down from going too fast. That's lovely.
So, Mr. O, what other thoughts about Hauler? Well, what say you?
I think I already told you guys from before, right? So
Make up something.
Yeah, no, well, again, the he's the guy that actually hooked me up with, you know, getting back into Transformers comic books on YouTube. Like just going based on what you guys were just talking about, right? Like, reading it on the phone and so forth, right? And so I have actually came across, because of Holler, I came across some YouTube sites where there are actually, they took out the words and the bubbles in the comic book, but they were reading it. So it was like an audio. What do you call those things? Audios?
Like a audio drama.
Yeah. Well, they were reading the comic book, right? But how you read, how you listen to a book on audio. I guess it's called whatever Kindle. I don't know.
An audio book.
There you go. Thank you. So that actually helped me got back into the comic books and start buying them and collecting them again and reading them and so forth, right? Because Holler helping me out finding those YouTube sites. So it's not just only, like we were saying before, about finding it on it's called Spotify and so forth, but even YouTube, like visually, you can also see it as well, which is pretty cool.
That sounds.
Thanks,
like
Holler. I appreciate it, Holler.
That sounds like a segue for the childrenofprimus.com, where you can find, and on YouTube, where Fear of Courage makes weekly written reviews. They're very detailed on certain characters, but in recent months, Toy War Vintage Reviews on YouTube has narrated those reviews that you can also find on our channel. So you can listen to them as well as watch them.
Inspired by who?
Primus.
Yes.
Optimus Prime. Vector Sigma.
It's because of Holler.
Before Cybertron he was.
I am Holler.
I did it all for Holler.
Mr. O, did you catch the beginning of this show before you hopped on?
No, I wasn't able to. Like, to be honest with
Okay.
you, I have some reveals for afterwards, but I was at work, and at my work there was Comic-Con happening.
Oh
And
yeah, that
so,
was this weekend.
yeah, so I was able to get in here like around 9:20, so I wasn't able to see at the very beginning.
Oh, okay, I have some retroactive information just for you.
Ooh.
I apologize for repeating myself, but Mr. O didn't hear it. So I said last week that it had been a long time since I revisited the information about the Porsche 935 of Jazz.
Yes.
I revisited that information. Come to find out, because it was a race car only, it offered from the factory, only race teams could buy them, so they weren't offered to private owners. There were only about 40 of them built, and they currently sell. Now, you said you wanted one, so I hope you get a raise.
Okay.
They currently sell between $4.5 and $5.5 million.
Wow.
American.
Making Jazz by far the most expensive of the Autobot cars.
Would you think they'll take Cybertronian money?
I mean, Maple Leaves might still have some currency since you're going to be our 51st state soon. So.
Hold on, blow it. What's it called? Make me bigger there, Spin. I'm sure they're gonna allow me to buy my Porsche in this currency. No.
That looks like a Michael Bay version of
Yeah.
Yeah. So that $100 is devalued.
Well, it's the same value as, I don't know,
toilet paper.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
This is gold. Come on, man. It's in gold color.
A box of Kleenex. a box of macaroni and cheese.
Actually, I had some mac and cheese.
Don't be jealous. Hey, I'm talking. Don't be jealous that I was able to get myself some nice Cybertronian currency here. and who hooked me up here is Cool Collectibles. Cool Collectible. Okay. And Carl hooked me up because of Holler.
Yes, because of Holler.
Because of Holler.
Yep. That's pretty cool, man. Like if you look at this again, I know it's kind of shiny because of the reflection, But yeah, if you really look at it, it's a nice. It's not a piece of paper. It's like a really nice thick cardstock, but it has like that plastic feeling on it, and it's really detailed. Yes, there is Michael Bay in there, but you know what? They did a really nice job. They did a really nice job.
Yeah, I'm
on
sure
this.
there's more than meets the eye to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more to even. Yeah.
Don't be jealous because I hit the jackpot, baby.
Don't be hating.
I know. Don't be
Jackpot
hating.
and Bavers go in the same
Don't
sentence together.
be hating because Holla hooked me up.
The only way you can have Jackpot and Bavers in the same sentence is if you picked up the rights to it and just erased it from existence.
You know what?
I know. It's
I guarantee after we're done this, I guarantee you're gonna be popping in a Babe movie.
That's a big assumption.
That's a very big assumption.
No, I guarantee it. Either it's Transformers or what's it called? Bad Boys. It's one of those two. I know that for a fact.
The Children of Primus does not promote gambling, but I'm going to take a bet on he's not going to pop in one of those movies.
Okay, if it's not Transformers, not Bad Boys, it's either Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles wasn't a Bay movie. He was just a producer. It was a different director.
Oh, that doesn't matter. Bay.
It doesn't matter. His name is still connected to it.
Yeah, it was so Bay. Dude,
okay.
Those turtle movies.
Or what's that other movie? The one with Dwayne and Dwayne Rock Johnson and Marky Mark.
Pain and Gain.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the problem with The Rock and Kevin Hart, every single movie they're in is the exact identical character. Like he's the same in everything. In everything.
Kevin Hart was Kevin Hart in Pain and Gain? I know it was.
No, he wasn't. It was Mark Wahlberg. But no, you got to watch Pain and Gain.
Mark Wahlberg's not too much different either. They tend to have a very limited range in terms of their acting. It's like
I'm an inventor.
Listen, I've always wanted to watch.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
I've never watched Pain and Gain, but I know an interesting sort of fact about it and how it connects to the Transformers movies, and it's not because of Marky Mark. So Michael Bay did the first three, and then he made a big song and dance about being done, like he's leaving, right? But the studio was like, he's making us all this money. These are making a mint. We want him back. And so he made Pain and Gain first and then came back. And the general understanding is that the back and forth was he'd been trying to make Pain and Gain for a while. So he said, let me make my movie that I've been actually trying to make, that I want to make, and then I'll come back for another Transformers. So I never watched it, but I've always been meaning to because I'm like, I want to see what it looks like when he's like, let me make this, and then I'll go back to the Transformers minds, as a bargaining chip, right?
Interesting.
It's actually a really good movie.
Speaking of actors being able to just portray themselves on screen, there's something with the last name Reynolds. Because everybody knows Ryan Reynolds, and everything Ryan Reynolds is in, he's just Ryan Reynolds. And Burt Reynolds was the same way. If you know all those old Burt Reynolds movies, Cannonball Run, Smoking the Bandit, all that kind of stuff, he's just playing Burt Reynolds. He doesn't. He didn't actually change any of his acting up. I think until he was in Boogie Nights with Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, that was
lucky. Ryan Reynolds just happens to be Deadpool in real life, so it worked very well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's funny going back to those 70s and 80s movies. Certain actors they got casted because they just were that character in everything, but somehow it worked. But in certain other times, it's like, no, you've been the same actor in the last 50 movies. Like, do something different. We're tired of it.
Well, that's called being typecast, and that's kind of what happened to Burt Reynolds. He was just kind of like the car movie guy, easy go luck. I mean, he had acting chops, but he really didn't get to. He had a dead spot in his career when he went through his divorce, and didn't really get to do anything until after all that was said and done.
Trying to think of that movie that he was in with Dudley Moore, and she was a stripper mom. With Burt Reynolds.
RJ Eagle says, "Hey gang,
Oh,
what's
the big
happening? I missed the beginning, but to answer the question, the toy is Green Grapple. Hauler should be orange with a mold exactly like the cartoon. Green Grapple looks different."
You know what would be really clever if they managed to pull this off? Because I'm thinking about the Origin figures that I love so well, who look like they change into one thing but change into something else. We only saw Hauler's vehicle mode on the cartoon, and it looks the same as Grapple. What if they designed a figure that had the same Orange Crane alternate mode, but a totally different transformation and a totally different robot design, and they were like, "This is Hauler."
Mm.
Just like the hood doesn't become the chest; it goes somewhere else.
But they could make him transform like Hotshot.
Yeah.
Or Hotspot, the leader,
yeah,
the head of the Protectobots.
Right.
Yeah, basically.
Or they could make him transform like Hook.
Yeah, I was immediately picturing a type of design where like the front of the truck becomes his feet instead of his chest, something like that.
Like Hook.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, I guess they were a little bit different because Grapple has these rounded headlights that were shown off in other episodes, where Hauler's headlights are square.
Which is correct.
You guys are like
reaching. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you guys are really.
Thanks to Anthony.
There.
Thanks to Anthony bringing up. Oh, let's do an episode on Hauler. My name's Anthony.
That was a joke.
Okay. Again,
Hear my version.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. It is a different
truck. My
front.
version of this. So in in the Unicron universe here, Hauler was originally a Constructicon. When Megatron took the other 6 and had the Robo Smasher mess them up, Hauler escaped.
That did happen.
But now, Megatron's hunting him. Well, the difference in a Transformer from the same continent, such as the Dotson brothers, the Seekers, the only difference in them is their color. So he went and got a paint job.
I just realized that's how you avoid detection in Grand Theft Auto. You just get your car resprayed.
And became Hauler, changed his name to Hauler. Because Megatron is hunting a green version of him, not a yellow version.
Why is I'm thinking like the movie Colors now? You know, like everybody's in a gag here. We're part of the orange gag. We're part of the green gag. What are they?
Color has to mean something to the Transformers. It has to be a differentiation of how you tell each other apart.
Mm-hmm.
So even back then, we were learning about gang colors.
That's right.
And who got your hookup? Hauler.
Hauler. Now we're going to slowly round up for the evening. Now Mr. O has a few reveals. RJ Eagle says, "That's a great point, Anthony. Just give him a different robot mode since we haven't officially seen his robot mode, so it could be anything."
Yeah. Just look at the other different ways that cranes have transformed in Transformers and borrow the engineering off one of those.
Well, you got Erector and GoBots too. I mean, wait a minute.
It was only after I'm like, yeah, I should have brought in that little Erector.
You know, there was actually another campaign back when you could nominate anybody to be in the Hall of Fame. Like the first year they opened it to the public, Erector did get into the finals.
Of course
he did.
Yeah,
of course.
He didn't. They played along because they put the bios up on the website of each finalist, and like Erector had a bio there. But they made his motto. I remember his motto instead of whatever else was just "Wait, why am I here?" ?
Of course.
So like they were good sports about it and had fun with it.
Did Booby get in after?
As RJ says, "You're right, Magnus. I've heard this origin story before. Interesting."
Well, I don't know. I was just making it up on the fly.
Well, it's funny because in TF Wiki,
it's kind of evolved throughout the entire stream.
Did you hear it earlier in the stream? Is that where you heard it before?
But it's funny because in TF Wiki that there's actually that kind of storyline. What you just said, that he was actually there in Crystal City, and he was part of the construction bots and actually helped create Megatron in the G1 cartoon, right? And then he escaped from that when the Robo Smasher that changed the programs and mentality. So but it's almost very similar to what you said, Magnus. So you're not far off.
That's why Megatron had to go after the Constructicons, because they know where his weak spots are. And the reason the reason Hauler had to change identities is because he's the only one that Megatron didn't get. So he actually has the secrets to Megatron's weakness.
No, actually, just before I get over to Shiva Kobe's comment, Charlie C says Peg Erector. So, I mean, it's possible that, Hauler, after, escaping from those original Constructicons, it's possible maybe he just came to Earth hiding in the shuttle and just, kind of had a career in the adult movies for a while or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
and then he probably, escaped to to Gobatronus, whatever it was called. Gobalopolis.
Gobalopolis.
Yeah, there you go. And he became Erector.
That's not what it's called. Why do you think Erector's a GoBot? You've said that a couple times now.
Exactly.
Was there a GoBot named that I don't know about?
Yes.
Yes.
There is.
Yes.
Oh.
And when he transformed, his crane would go on the front of him in a very sensitive area.
Oh, do we have a picture of it? Can someone find one?
I know what you're talking about.
That's why I was laughing as soon as
it's been everywhere.
So
Shiba Kobe says, I have a theory that Megatron actually took credit for the Robo Smasher, but that it was actually a piece of Quintesson technology left over that he stumbled across and may have fell victim to.
Interesting.
That is a very interesting theory.
Maybe our next show should be about conspiracy theories and Transformers.
And we all show up wearing tinfoil hats. I'm down.
I could definitely come up with a few. The thing is, if it's fiction, you don't call them conspiracy theories. You call them headcanon.
But at a certain point, when conspiracy theories and fiction become reality, is it art? Is this a reality based off of art or art based off reality?
My brain tickles.
That's why we could have a sound machine in the background. We could have the dum 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 dum.
Dun, 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 dun.
What'd you just call me?
It's in your private spin.
Oh, okay, and that sounds funny.
Well, yeah, from Erector to
It's in your private.
to a headcanon. Okay.
Choice of wording.
We got a bunch of guys together. What else do you expect us to talk about? Seriously.
We need to be classy gentlemen.
Yes, so on that note, and there is Gobatron.
Oh, wow.
Gobot Erector. So he does exist, and why did he
It's pretty massive.
Oh, God.
It expands.
And the toy looks the same.
See, and this is
they had to have known.
This is just the non-moving version of the image, because
this isn't a GIF.
Yeah, it's been going around for years. So before we round up, Mr. O, you said you had some reveals.
Yes, I do. So again, I want to give a shout out to Carl from Cool Collectibles. You want to make me
expand his horizons?
Yeah,
there you go.
I was breakdancing there for a little bit, but yeah, from Cool Collectibles again. If you're looking for
Cool
Collectibles, And if you look here, there's the coolstuff.ca. Carl actually hooked me up with some really good deals, so he's a really good guy. So I do appreciate it. So I want to give him a big thank you. So I came across this. I'm not going to open it up because you know me, I don't open up things. So what this is,
you don't want to experience joy.
Yeah, I don't. So in here, if you flip it up, there are pens of Bumblebee and some other form Autobot symbol, which is pretty cool. Hold up. We still got some more here. I was able to finally find this comic because we were talking about comics today.
Transformers versus Visionary. Oh no, that's a vintage one. That's not the new one. That's an old one.
Nice.
Exactly.
Visionaries.
Yep.
Oh, what is going on around here?
So
So
go ahead.
that's a Marvel UK comic because they had Visionaries as the backup strip.
Yep. So I was able to get this, but this is what I was really happy about. Okay, they had a Comic-Con exclusive. Okay, which I thought it's like I gotta have this. So as you can see, it's a fan. I know it's a Fan Expo. It's the same company that runs Comic-Con and Fan Expo, right?
Yeah.
So it is an exclusive. Check out this cover, man.
Ooh.
Look at
Cobra
that cover.
Commander claw on his face.
Oh my goodness. And so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pair this up with this guy.
Oh, is that the 5 points of articulation one, or is it the O-ring one?
I don't know.
Does he have knee joints?
Open it. Let's see.
I didn't hear what you said.
Your
You're
mic
muted
has...
now.
It looks like it's probably the 5 point, not the ring, just the way the hip joints look.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they did an O-ring version at some point too. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, so
Yeah, still can't hear you.
Oh, he's back.
I'm back. So what I'm going to end up doing, I'm going to pair these two together.
Yeah, but yeah,
So-
he doesn't have knees, right?
He does have knees.
Like knee joints, I mean. Like, are there?
Well, I'm looking on the side of it. There is joints.
Oh, okay. So that's the O-ring version. Cool.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's basically like for a long time the Super 7 guys were just like doing Star Wars articulation, like 5 POA, and I'm like, that's not. G.I. Joe's whole thing was that it was posable when other stuff wasn't, like in the 80s. So now they've started doing ones that actually do have like proper joints, and I'm like, okay, good. Now they're like just making new old G.I. Joes, which is how they're supposed to be.
So, Mr. O, you have to open it up so we have a better idea of the character.
In another what's called universe, you can talk to that Mr. O, and he probably open up a lot of stuff.
Well,
I'm
RJ,
wondering if Anthony, since he doesn't like to open things, if I send him this G1 hot rod I have signed by Judd Nelson, would you open that up?
Oh, that's a poison chalice, because I can't do that. I cannot open that. It would go against my... Oh, like, that'd be the worst kind of... That's like a prisoner's dilemma. Look at how overwhelmed my cat looks at that question. She's like, oh my god.
Get RJ out of the way.
She's thinking... Because I'm like, I wouldn't want to demint a figure from, like, 1986 that's been autographed. But I'm like, there's no point to it. It's in the box. So if you ever want to make my head explode like that clip from Scanners that everybody knows, you send me that.
well, RJ has a statement to Orlati. You got to buy doubles so you can open one.
Sure, you can definitely help me out by visiting our Patreon site and donations. Right. And you can help the Arlotti buying double funds. Right? So I can open up one and keep one in the box. So yeah, you know what, RJ? Thank you so much for reminding everybody about the Arlotti Patreon buying doubles and open up one and keep one in the box funds. Thank you.
What? Shiva Kobe says, by the way, guys, this week I got TF1 DVD and watched it the other day. Apparently the TF sleep like 7 of 9 in Borg Reagan
Regen
slots.
slot.
Regen slots.
Yeah. That's an established thing. They call them recharge slabs.
And I was saying, she says, I also grabbed Earth Spark Alita 1 on clearance.
Oh, are they clearing those out too? No, that's Costco. It's always Costco.
So
It's not-
speaking of
Yeah,
Earth Spark,
okay, hold on. Why is it our Costco here in Toronto don't have Transformers, like how they have it in Vancouver?
That's a good question, because I know back in the day, Costco's used to carry Transformers, but they don't now, at least not where I'm from.
Again,
Oh, yeah. I've not
yeah,
seen
okay,
them.
Anthony, we're in the same province.
Yeah, I know.
We're part of the GTA, right? But
Yeah.
the point is, like how you said, a long time ago, now they literally stopped because they used to have those Costco exclusives as well too,
Yeah,
right?
that's where the yellow Optimus Prime is from, the one that everybody wants them to do the HasLab up into.
Yep,
Interesting.
and there was a couple of I think there was a Grimlock as well too. There was a Costco exclusive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, there's
when
a
I
few of
went,
those.
when I went to go look for it, it wasn't there.
I've never
So-
been inside of a Costco.
in Earth Spark, I had noticed that Mandroid's final form, because a big concept in that is that him and the two human children get stuff from the Quintus Prime, and the connection to the Quintessons. But I find it interesting how much his final form looks like the that Quintesson TF1 Quintesson High Command, whatever it was, figure.
Right.
And it wouldn't be hard to do a custom and just have it be, even if it was like a rough custom, just putting ahead and stuff. But I just thought that was an interesting coincidence. And they're like for $7 now. I was like, oh
Wow.
damn.
Those things never showed up in Canada, otherwise I might have grabbed one.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't bought one because I was like, it's better. And it has a nice little transformation. And if you ever played like the Star Fox games and you get some of the levels, especially the later games where he started showing how some of the ships look like they were made out of rock and not just metal.
One thing I like about that
It's in that
Quintesson
realm.
is they're like, he has to transform into something, so they made him transform into a miniature replica of the Quintesson spaceship in the movie to give him an alternate mode. Like that was a neat little shout.
Yeah.
Cool. So, as we're going to round out the evening, Mr. Magnus, what do you have coming up for the week?
Well, I've got one more week left on my pre-order to see if this last bot actually hits the bin before I send this shipment. But what I do want to let everybody know is if you missed out on Studio Series 86 Snarl, he has now been added to the pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store. He's running for around 120 to 140 on Evil Bay. So now you can pick him back up at at his decent price, his leader class price.
Nova Prime and Nacelle, they got reissues put up for pre-order recently as well.
I didn't see
'Cause I
that.
know Nova Prime, I looked into him recently. I was like, oh man, he's like $200. That's not gonna happen. Well, it could, but I don't feel like spending that much money on one bot.
Before we get to Senum, RJ says, out of curiosity, did anyone get the Divorce Class Metroplex? And sorry, Arlotti, that and the Patreon double figure fund are out of my budget.
I got kids to support, small furry kids. There's one of them right now.
Yep, you are correct. Sedum. Nova Prime is on pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store.
We gotta say breaking news.
Breaking news. Well, I wonder if someone's going to have the Divorce Class Metroplex at the Toronto TFCon, which we're going
If I
to
wasn't
be
getting
at.
married this year, I would have ordered it.
Pre-divorce class, yeah.
How much is that thing going for right now?
$6,000.
And
What
kid,
the blood? $6,000? Holy
Now,
shit!
I
That's
don't
like
know if you made that up or not, but I
Okay,
believe you for
okay.
that size.
No. It's going for around 2,000. Just ask CBR.
Which we'll have a CBR article next week. We got to have more of those.
that's a
And
lot, man.
And apparently CBR is one thing. I think Screen Rant, and there's another one I just came across. I think they all hire the same quote-unquote writers in terms of the articles they put together, because the comments are like, y'all have no idea what you're writing, but you're just writing for the sake of writing. Stop it.
And the sad thing is, CBR used to be good. I happened to come across an article on there from a decade ago, and it was done by a human doing actual journalism. So they weren't always this way.
Even Screen Rant was pretty good. I'll go on Screen Rant once in a while if I see something interesting in there, and I'm like, oh, okay, I learned something new.
Yeah.
But yeah,
people
quality is going down.
The enshittification of the internet. It's a thing.
That's a word.
Yeah, it's a word that goes around.
I remember there's a joke about how every historical figure has a curse anime girl fan art of them, so you can't look up Benjamin Franklin without finding an anime girl, and so forth.
I've never had that problem set up. Maybe you should fix your history.
Well, it's not that I just saw the YouTube video on it years ago, and I tested it, and I'm like, oh god, it's true. And the same, what's the other one? If you have a Western, American, European name, look up your name plus Sonic the Hedgehog, and you find a totally original Sonic fanfic character.
That is the most specific reference I think I've heard in a while. Over to you, Seto. What do you have coming up for the week?
I'm sorry, man. I had to laugh. Sorry.
It's Teletran 2. Oh, go with it.
Oh, boy.
What am I doing?
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think we're having the usual studio space on Tuesday, but I might go to some guest artists see what they're about, since a friend of mine did a collaborative piece with them. Otherwise, I'll just work on that piece I've been working on. Cool. I know the sewing class, I'll be on the 5th of 6, and I'll be finishing off some project and finishing off a project and starting the last project. I know Monday and Tuesday it's supposed to be nice again after it was raining this weekend, so I might do some pictures of the different Hot Wheels I bought recently and just kind of pairing off different cars I think look good together. And maybe getting some Turtles of Grayskull pictures I've been meaning to take of the actual Turtles.
Cool. Over to Mr. O. What do you have coming up for the week?
Relax.
There you go.
Good idea.
Or even better, hold on. Lazy.
Yeah, you just did Comic-Con. You need a week off.
Yeah. So I'm actually off Monday, Tuesday, so I'm just gonna just chill, relax a little bit, and
hibernate.
Yeah, hibernate. But I do have some projects. I can't mention anything at the moment right now that I'm going to be trying to work on, and once that's completed, I will be more than happy to share with everybody.
Nice. There you go. True ninja mode.
Yes.
Work on it in the background and then mention it, because Children of Primus, as cool as the collective is, there are other people who are emulating us, but at times we've also emulated others. Because, there's certain core ideas, it's all shared. And everyone's cool with each other, as should be. And Charlie C says, okay, everyone, I'm out. Hope to catch you all next week. Take care to all, everyone. And Charlie, thank you for coming by. It's been a minute.
Been a while.
Yeah.
And Charlie, or not Charlie, it was RJ. A few weeks ago, we were talking about divorce class as well.
I like that. That's the second term.
Currently, USD, you can pick him up for as low as $1,254 on eBay.
Oh.
But he costs $1,100 to ship.
Okay, so $2,300.
So close to $2,000.
Yeah, $2,340.
As according to CBR.
And I just brought it back up whenever you can order it, because it's sold out. I don't know how many they had, but it's sold out.
You know what that tells you? Hold on, you know what that tells you?
At Show Z store, yeah, it's sold out. And because I just now noticed that there's a little tab here that I can change it to Canadian instead of American.
Here we
The
go.
Canadian price,
Here we go.
The Canadian price shipped was $1,760.38.
Of course.
The funny thing is,
U.S. price was $1,199 shipped.
You see the difference.
Like,
Yeah.
This might be the one time, given how big it is, that shipping price is actually for real and not them trying to get money out of you.
It's true.
It was shipped free.
Oh, really? Never
Yeah,
mind.
But here's the
So
funny
the-
part is the funny
Whatever
part
the
is
price was, they had shipping put in. See, Australia. What's Australia?
Oh,
Damn. Australia was $1,900.
Wow. Yeah, because
Europe-
Australia does have issues
Okay.
in terms of getting things down there.
Yep. Euros was close to the same price as ours, 1,169. And I guess JPY, I guess that would be Japan, was 183,350 yen.
Oh, gosh.
I love Japanese prices, man. It's crazy. but isn't it like 200 yen to $1 or something like that?
but here's the funny part. So, look, it's sold out. Are you telling me there's a lot of guys out there
Getting divorces?
exactly, like purposely? It's like, hey babe, look what I bought. Oh, we're gonna get a divorce. Okay.
Call attorney Price and
Well,
get
do you
divorced.
recall the movie 40-year-old version does exist?
This is true.
And I'm sure there are real life examples of it.
There's a
Excuse me?
weirdly big fan
Careful,
of
Toy Wharf.
suspiciously wealthy.
Careful, Toy Wharf. Careful, Toy Wharf.
You know, there's places
I
that can help you with that
need to-
issue, right? Like you can
let the
spend some money on.
Let the camera go back to the second floor of my house.
Mhm.
This is just one room. The other room is just as full of other stuff.
And I mean, and in a certain, you get to a certain age, and there are relationships where you're like the Metroplex or the person they're with, and you put them on a scale, and then one starts to outweigh the other,
Wait,
and
you forgot to add the divorce paper on top of the Metroplex. All right.
just that gram of paper just outweighs the pros and cons there.
Yeah, there are 5 of them on eBay right now, and they're all from China.
Well, the one point, before I forget, I wonder if there's a way to deep dive and find out how many divorce class Metroplexes were actually manufactured.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait, hold on, Spin, hold on, wait.
Hang on.
They're from
Hang on.
China. They're from China, right? So the Chinese, they want our women.
How much would he
surely-
win? How much would he win? You give me the woman, I give you the
Surely there's
Metroplex.
more efficient ways than this.
There were 600.
Well, hold on, because you got to remember there are more males, right, than
Mhm.
females in China. So because their growth problem that they're having, well, even though they got 1 billion, but their relationships that there's not a lot of people to mate or whatever because the difference of
Tariffs.
right. So now, what do you have? Now they're coming to Canada and the United States and say, "Hey, here's a Metroplex. Get divorced. We take your wife."
Tariffs.
I'm like, surely there must be more efficient ways to engage in this scheme.
Yeah, the Chinese men, they're smart, eh?
Have you seen the political
Government-wide, I'm
climate in
talking
the
about,
last
okay,
while?
government.
Well, RJ Eagle has brought up a point, and he says, "Well, Magnus, it may be cheaper to drive to the seller in person and pick it up and drive it back, but then customs." And I'm thinking it's not far-fetched, because I mean, record shops back in the day would do the same thing. They'd order all the records for the Toronto store, ship it over to Buffalo, drive from Toronto to Buffalo, stock all of those records in the car, bring it back to Toronto that us DJs would buy. Way cheaper to drive the 2 hours to the border than to have that stuff shipped, deal with customs, this and that, and a lot quicker. So it's probably cheaper. Order it somewhere in the U.S., ship it to somewhere in the U.S. close to the border, like a friend who's close by, and then just drive over, pick it up, and drive back. Like, it doesn't cost us $1,000 to drive to Buffalo and come back. Way cheaper.
Hold on, I got a way you can get through customs. without paying anything.
The
You
Children
ready?
of Primus does not endorse illegal activities on the American and U.S. borders. Canadian
Here,
borders.
you know what you do. So if you're in the States and you're coming to to Canada, right? Because you bought it in the States and you're driving to Canada,
Mhm.
you got to make sure that there's Comic Con happening at the convention center at the Niagara Falls convention there, right? Sorry, there's a convention happening at the Niagara Falls convention, which is Comic Con, and all you
Yes.
have to say, "Oh, that's my son dressed in cosplay."
Where's his passport?
It's right here. He's just sleeping right now, so please don't wake him up.
Yeah, there is a Niagara Comic Con coming up, and actually at that Comic Con they have, I believe it's
Genius.
the Optimus Prime truck. Because there is someone, and I came across it some months ago, so I don't have his name at the moment, but it's someone who built his own version of the Michael Bay Prime, like in truck mode, and he takes it around to like schools, and different events to show it off. So I believe that truck is at the Niagara Comic Con that's coming up I think in like a month or two.
That's wild. He'd go with that one when the
You know what I
original
need?
would be so much cheaper to build.
I need to jump on this before someone else does. I'm drawing
Breaking
a quick blank.
news.
What's the little car that goes to Metroplex?
Scamper.
Correct.
No,
Scamper.
yeah,
Scamper and Six Shot have not been made for the divorce class yet.
Those would just be like
There you go.
normal size Transformers.
Oh no, they have to be a lot bigger because I just sent you the link. Spin. If you all look, one of the pictures is of him in the city mode with the WFC Transformers on him. They would have to be a lot bigger.
Yeah, the size of Scamper and Six Guns in that divorce class Metroplex, they would be about the size of a cat,
Commander,
if
so
not
Commander
a
class
bit
then.
bigger. Yes.
Yeah, this thing is ginormous.
I mean, I think most people who've been standing next to it are like the height of, say, maybe like 5'6" or something, like average height. And this Metroplex is like just, a couple inches shorter than the average human height. Like that's how tall this Metroplex is.
Yeah, but
Yeah, the first picture is a guy standing beside it. He is Asian, so let's go average. He's 5'4". So this thing is probably 4'8", 4'9".
Yeah, like it's
You
huge.
just scroll down; it's just underneath of it. All the pictures
There
are
we
right
go.
under.
holy crow, man.
Oh.
But you
And
know
then, like,
what? But here's the funny
1,
part. You ready?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 9th picture has the WFC Transformers on it.
So here's the cool thing about this Metroplex. If it wasn't for Hauler,
If it wasn't for CBR,
okay, we wouldn't have this Metroplex. Just remember that, guys and
You know-
girls.
it'd be nice to see when CBR makes an article about this Metroplex. And in terms
Where
of
would
what
you
they're-
put that in your house?
I don't
You-
have room for it.
You put your
Right-
house in
right
this
there.
Metroplex.
Right there. It
You
would
could
go right
justify it
there.
as a
where my
cat
tripod's
condo.
Oh my God. This thing in city mode, put it in the living room. Your wife goes, wait, there it goes. It's like a
Cat
plan.
condo.
Look, we were supposed to be done like a half hour, and yet we're still talking about Metroplex. That's crazy, man.
It's divorce class Metroplex. It's a size of its own, which
Yeah.
RJ Eagle says. But then Six Gun and Scamper would be way out of scale to the other Transformers in alt
It
mode.
would be the new Titans.
It's definitely a Titan. So, Toy Warp, as we're about to round up, what do you have coming up for the week?
Unfortunately, the energy levels just weren't there last week to put out the videos I said I was putting out last week.
Yeah.
So this week, over on Cruises Motorsports, it's going to be the history of hot wiring cars. Not how to hot wire a car, but the history of doing so. And then keep an eye out on Toy Warp over there. We're going to be doing the part 2 of the Transformers G1 history.
But you know who invented all that?
Hauler.
CBR.
Exactly. Hauler.
And CVR.
Oh, what the fuck?
And Shiba Kobe says, cheers, gangs. 2 weeks till GameStop.
Are
And
you okay?
Hey, no one cares.
Uh-oh. What happened now? Are you okay?
God.
Me?
No, the one's getting upset on the corner there.
Sedum just got the latest link to the latest CBR article. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Just breeze. Just breeze.
I don't have the brace on tonight.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh.
as we said
Set 'em.
to Magnus
Breeze.
earlier, take it easy.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah, it was everything. But earlier, I brought down the X-Transbot's Minosaur, and it was everything I could do to pick him up, to hold him up.
Over to Fear. As we're about to end the evening, what do you have coming up for the week?
Well, I managed to get my VNR Optimus review up, so you can read that on the same blog where Hauler is.
Okay, there it goes.
Oh, there we go. I was echoing. And then I can hear myself on delay. That's weird. Anyway, my next one, which I just finished the photos of as we were talking, will be the Turtle Van, the Party Wallop, the Turtle Crossover Transformer. Photos are done. Review's about halfway done. That should be out by Friday. I saw Turtles 2, the 90s one, at the Review Cinema on Saturday.
Nice.
In downtown Toronto, so it's weirdly appropriate that this is my next thing. Oh, look, my other cat's joining us now.
Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah, it is still good. It's not quite the well-oiled machine of the first one, but the first one was such a weird freak of nature quality-wise. And the second one has all the same good elements there, so I'm like, props for trying. This is still, if the first one was a 10 out of 10, this is like a 9 out of 10. But
Because of Vanilla Ice, baby.
You know, you're always like, oh, it's lame. They got Vanilla Ice to do a song. But, like, when you're actually watching that scene, they're having this big fight in this club with music. You're like, this is awesome.
Go Ninja Turtles, go.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're just like, with the lights and everything. I'm like, actually, this rules. Forget what I was thinking earlier.
There you go. So,
Why? Because of Hauler.
because of Hauler.
Yeah.
So-
Photoshop him into the crowd there.
There you go. So on that note, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and to Hauler 1.
Wait, hold on. Hold
Wait.
on.
Oh,
Sure, you guys subscribe, man. We got to get to 500. Help a couple of brothers out here, man. Okay, you got to get to 500. Help us out. Spread the news. Subscribe. Thank you.
There you go.
Do it for
All
Hauler. Where is
Exactly.
he here?
Do for Hauler.
Do it for
He's
Hauler.
like, I command you, 500 subscribers.
We now return you to the Children of Primus.